Welcome everyone. Welcome to this week's healing meditation. This is for the week beginning Monday, the 11th of April. Now, anytime you come to this meditation is a perfect time for you, but this week's meditation is designed to complement the angel message for this week. Now, this angel message is one I channel from the Keepers of the Keys. They are a group of 12 healing angels from the Libraries of Light, of which the Akashic Records are one. Now, what we are working with in terms of the crystal of the week is a large clear quartz channeling Tao wand, and I'll show that to you in a moment. There's a story behind that crystal. So first I want to just mention briefly what the themes of the message for this week was or is, and it's about our spiritual path. And the Keeper said the spiritual path is a journey of faith, and that is certainly true. And they talk about connecting into the divine and connecting to selves as being pivotal or for certainly critical for our journey, so that we know that even when we feel like we are fumbling in the dark, that we are not alone. And they talk about there are many infinite beings of light that we can connect to. When it comes to divine, or you can connect straight to source, the creator, Father, Mother, God. And this is something that I've enjoyed doing, is connecting to many beings of light, whether they're angels or galactic guides or ascended masters, or just I generally call Christed beings of light. Now, what is interesting is there are so many different traditions about who we can connect with, and I think it's important to know that you have a particular soul lineage, not just your own cultural lineage, but your soul lineage as well. So your soul lineage will influence who you will connect with on a spiritual level. Your culture and your religious background certainly could as well, but you're also not limited by either. So what's interesting for me is that my soul lineage was way bigger than my cultural lineage, my religious one. So, but I still have a lineage through that, and so there's still a connection with, ascended masters like Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and Sananda, the Cosmic Christ. So there's still a broad palette of beings that we can connect with, and that's really what the Keepers were saying for us. Now, the crystal of the week that came through that we'll be meditating with is one of my favorite pieces ever. And that's a bold claim, because I have many favorites, but in terms of life-changing crystals, there are 4 that I have out of the hundreds of crystals that I have. 4 crystals that have been life-changing for me, and this piece is one of them. So I will show it to you. It is a large piece, but the reason why I'm introducing it, and there's certainly a story behind this piece. Now, I'm holding it like this for a reason, and I'll explain in a moment. Now, this is a channeling Tao wand, just because it's not a tower. A tower would hold its width, but it's goes thinner and tapers in and then comes to the point. Now, clear quartz is the master healer, and it is one of the most powerful crystals that we can work with. And personally, you can never have too much clear quartz. Each clear quartz has a different purpose, a different mission, a different energy signature, even though if you look up the meaning for clear quartz, it'll say the same thing. And so every piece does something different, and this certainly did. Now, I came to this piece 2019, 2020, so 2-3 years ago. It was one that it was a more recent purchase compared to some of the other pieces that I have. I was working in a crystal store at the time, and I'll tell you in a moment the story of what happened when I met this crystal. Now, I want you to imagine I was working in the crystal store as a healer and as a reader, but the owner of the store that I worked with really enjoyed and appreciated how I feel into crystals, and there was I suppose a resonance with each other about how we see crystals. And she asked me about the pieces of large clear quartz that she had in the store, and she felt that they were master crystals, and I completely agreed that every single one that she had was. And you know, there was one really large one, larger than this, if you can imagine, and wider. That was a really powerful, connecting straight into the crystalline grids, and it was super powerful. So it wasn't about the power that got me with this crystal, even though it is powerful, because that in many ways was even more powerful in terms of doing grid work, crystalline grids into the earth. And then she handed over this one to me, and as I held it, it was like I was holding it like this, but faced the other way around. And I was like frozen. I was stuck holding the crystal. It's like my hands were glued to the crystal. They could not move. I was probably in that position just like for 20 to 30 minutes. Now, the reason why it was life-changing, and as I said, only a few crystals have been that for me, is the kind of activations it did for me that got me to a whole other level in my healing work. Now, what it did was, through my hands was an electrical surge. Now, this is like a thunderbolt, if you want to see it in that way, and I'll explain also a bit more about that. A thunderbolt of energy, and thunder electricity is, or thunder lightning. Lightning is electricity. Then you have, and the understanding is that we are bioelectric. We have electric circuits running through our bodies. We have light channels of light. We have channels between our energy centers, meridians, also light flowing through them. Now, if you can understand that there was an activation of like an electrical surge into my hands, that made a really big difference. Now, if you follow me, you would probably know that I don't do hands-on energy work. It's all via distance and through crystals, and I channel energy. I send energy. I don't transmit it body to body or person to person in a physical space. So before that, I did not use my hands at all in the energy work. I would hold to channeling crystals or celestials that I worked with. They're two of the other life-changing pieces, and actually I've got the fourth one here. This is the most recent one that I acquired. It has come to me for me to be its guardian. Now, then thereafter, my hands began moving. I could let go of two of the crystals, and I would have a third one in my lap, and it was only using that third one, and that's the one, the clear quartz celestial that we worked with recently in recent weeks. And so one of those life-changing ones. And my hands began moving doing the energy work, and it was directing, and it was automatically moving into mudras or doing, and I haven't studied mudras. It's not my lineage. I haven't done anything with that. So it just looked like it was moving into different significant positions. And so things changed for me after that, and it was a huge activation. Now, the other thing that is significant about this crystal is that from that moment, I knew it was aligned with the energy of Zeus. Now, Zeus, you may know as Jupiter. That's his Roman name. I know him as Zeus, but coming from a Greek background, because that's his Greek name. Now, you may be wondering, what's the deal? Like, here I am, I've been talking about Mother Mary and angels. Zeus, yeah. I want to, it could be a whole talk around that, and just because of time, I'm not going to go into it. I believe what were the 12 gods of Olympus, or the gods of Egypt or Rome or so forth, were actually original light beings connected to the temples of Atlantis. They are part of the councils of light. Now, you may not have these beings as part of your council of light, your personal one, but I certainly do. Now, to understand this, when Atlantis fell, the tribes of Atlantis dispersed around the known world. And whether it was to England, to Greece, to Egypt, or into the East, then there were these beings, what you might call high priests of these temples, that dispersed into other areas of the world. And you may think of, and this is how I see Zeus, as one of these light beings connected to one of these temples, that there was a temple dedicated to him. Now, in Atlantean times, his name may not have been Zeus. It may have been different, but that's how I have connected with him. Now, some think that he is actually the being, Santa Kumara, is said to be the logos of our planet. Now, that is very interesting, because Santa Kumara is there's a teaching of him about being the eternal youth. And when I saw a vision of Zeus, he was an eternal youth, and he was young but eternally young. And they were just connecting with his energy. And so I won't go into more about that, because this could be a whole discussion, and I just wanted to explain why we are connecting with his energy in this meditation. Now, you do not have to believe him, and you don't have to believe me. Don't take my word for it. It may not be part of your lineage, and so you do not have to connect with him through this meditation, but he will be with me. So I'll be connecting with him, and he'll be transmitting through this crystal. So if you're willing to receive energy from this crystal, then receive it as that and nothing else. We'll still have the keepers of the keys. We'll still have the councils of light. We'll still have my divine collective aria, and the archangels and Mother Mary. They're all here. It is just that in terms of the energy of the crystal, this is what is amplified at this time. So briefly, the story about this crystal and why I was holding it in this particular way is that it was such a profound crystal for me. I was working with it when I was going through my dark night of the soul. And now, if you can understand, like, the dark night of the soul is, and you know, it's actually pertinent to what the keeper's message was for this week, and that's about the journey through faith. It is hard to have faith when you're in the dark night of the soul, and in fact, one of the definitions of the dark night of the soul is losing faith. You can go through that process and question all the faith you've had before, all your beliefs before, because you're at a point where it seems like nothing is working for you. Now, for me, it was while I was still doing energy work and healing work and still feeling that connection through the work, I was definitely going through a process where it felt like nothing was working for me. And there were some deeply challenging things occurring in my life, so I felt like I was experiencing trauma upon trauma. But that's actually what the dark night of the soul is. It's a process of releasing trauma. It is everything that's been inside us now coming out of us. So all that darkness that was within coming out. And that's why it's such a difficult time to move through it. So everything that we have held in our bodies is coming out through that time. So here I am, going through the dark night of the soul, working with this powerful, powerful crystal. And it was a time where I was broken open. And I was in that state for 2 to 3 years. So it was a long time, and it was a difficult time. But the deepest, darkest point was the point when I was working at this with this crystal around 2019. And what happened was, and it's same as what happened with many crystals that I was working with at the time, is they too broke open. So this piece is actually in two pieces. Now, when it happened, and this is what crystals can do, they can take the hit of what we are going through, and they also can reflect what is going within us. So it was, like I said, a number of pieces, and some not, then weren't just, dispensable pieces. They were like expensive or rare or, or powerful like this. And when this occurred, I was devastated, but I knew there was a purpose, a reason. And some people would tell you, when this happens, it's time to bury the crystal. And I'll tell you, I do not agree with them at all. For me, even at the time when it first occurred, and it took on my trauma at that time, it was like an alive being. For me, it was like burying something alive, someone alive. And to do that would be a travesty and a tragedy. Now, what had to happen was this had to be separated in two pieces. It did not want to be repaired at that time. And it had to stay in our garden, lived in the garden for months so it can heal. It was resting on the earth so that it can give back what it had absorbed to the earth for months. And then slowly started to see a shift, first in the top piece, and then it came back into the space I was working in and just absorbing the energy again. And then the bottom piece. And then they told me, well, they wanted to be joined together. Again, still absorbing more of the energy in the space. And then they started wanting to go on grids. And then they told me they wanted to be one again. So while it's been a year or two since it's wanted to be one, I haven't had the funds to have it repaired. I'll be sending it to master repairers in Italy. Just the postage alone will cost a bit of money. So until that is the case, I've been working with it as it is. Now, I'm sure you will find that it is a powerful crystal, and it holds powerful energy. Now, it is a channeling dowel. Channeling crystal is one that has 7 sides to its face, and then it has a triangle behind it, like a triangular face. Now, a channeling dowel is when each face is either one of those 7-sided faces or a triangle, and it alternates. So we've got the 7, the 3, the 7, then the 3, and then the 7 again, and back to the 3. And so we have the not just the geometry, but also the numerology of the 7 and 3 that are master numbers. And when you add them all up again, you get the number 3. So you get the power of the Trinity. So that's a lot that I wanted to share with you. It felt like it was significant to understand the power of what we can work through, because when we are on a spiritual journey and we are here to heal and release all that we have held in our bodies, for this is an embodied process, it can be challenging, and to keep moving through it can be one of the greatest challenges in your life. But personally, I can say now on the other side, I have never been happier. I have never been more present, more calm, more well. And while I'm still on this healing journey, this does not end. And this is also what the Keeper said. We're never going to arrive. It is the journey. It continues to flow on. It's understanding this can help us and give us grace, no matter where we are in the journey, whether in the dark, feeling like we're fumbling in the darkness, or we have come through the darkness to return back out into the light. Regardless, knowing that we are not alone, and we truly are not, and that whether we are working with crystals or we're working with whatever aspect of the divine, then we can be filled with grace. We can meet miracles. We can see magic unfold. And we know that we can return to the light at any time, even when it feels like it's only a candle onto the darkness. So I will call in the keepers of the keys. I'll be holding this crystal. I need to hold this in my right hand now. Let me put this against my body. Oh, doesn't like that. Like this it is. Dear ones, this will be a powerful meditation and therefore a powerful discussion to precede it. A basis that had to be laid for you to move into it. Now, we welcome every one of you who come forward into this meditation. And so, we connect and bring through the higher selves of all who participate in the eternal moment and of now. As we gather a symphony of light with Aria, Vicky's Divine Collective, and Oriya, her higher self, together with the councils of light, the archangels and the angelic realms, Melchizedek and the order of Melchizedek, and the Christed beings of light. Santa Kumara, Zeus, however you may know him. And connecting to this crystal and the divine consciousness of this crystal. And bringing forward the energy of this divine consciousness so he may connect with you, to you and through you, surrounding and enfolding you, and filling you up from the inside out. And so we connect in with Father, Mother, God. The great central source, the great central sun, the great white rose, and bring through a pillar of light to you and through the temple of blue volcano, moving through your bodies into the earth, through the lower chakras, and all the way into the heart of Gaia, as it flows back up in an ever continuous circulation of light, filling your body and moving and filling through your entire energy field, through the upper chakras and the lower ones. Creating the sacred vessel, the sacred container for this healing session for you. Oh. Now, connecting in through the heart and to the back of the neck, through the throat, as much as you are ready for and is in your best and highest good, into the crown and the upper triangle of the tree of life, gently opening through the crown, expanding the energy through your energy field. As you open through channels of light into your body, and bring this light into your heart. As we go into the temple of your hearts, opening the doors if your doors are closed, moving into the outer chamber, the inner chamber, and into the inner sanctum, the Holy of Holies of your sacred temple. And in there you'll find your divine light, your sacred flame. And you'll receive an activation of your divine light together with your higher selves. So you may embody more of your light, be more connected to your light, to your soul, to your spirit. You'll have your divine collectives around you, those who walk with you in spirit, all of divine love and divine light. And you may choose to meet them here within the temple of your hearts. You may choose to have the intention of meeting your Council of Light. Know that this may only be as you're ready for. So you may begin with one member. Who do you connect with? Yourself? Divine being? An angel? A guide? An ancestor? Or a Christed being of light? Know all beings of light are part of the divine. You may choose instead to connect directly to your Creator, to Father, Mother, God. You may have guides to shepherd you along your path that will support your further connection with more and more beings of light. This journey is without end, dear ones. It is infinitely various. Do not limit it with your minds. Expand into its vastness, even as you have its light flowing through you. Moving through your throats. Opening through the heart triangle, the tree of life, into the right shoulder and arm. Are you requiring a masculine presence, dear ones, or a feminine one? Or gender neutral? They not matter. You may connect with what you need to connect, what is in your best and highest good to connect with. We are pleased in this session to be your guides into the infinite expanses of the divine. You may ask Archangel Michael to be your divine gatekeeper, so you may only connect with that which is of divine love and divine light. His fiery presence will guide you through. Know that this energy at this time does not support anything outside of divine love and divine light. So we welcome you, dear ones, to explore upon this spiritual journey into the vastness of all that is. You need not get lost on this journey. When you feel you have lost your way, return to what you know, to who you know. Return to self. Your higher self may also be part of your divine gateway or gatekeeper. And then you may return to what is simple yet true, to what feels like home, what only resonates within your soul lineage, so that you may eternally remember that you too are a child of the light. And so it is. Thank you everyone for joining me on this journey. Once again, I would love to hear how you go. Know that it may take some time to ground into your bodies. I have not yet landed myself. So again, drink lots of water, connect to the earth, ground in whatever way is helpful to you. Engage with your senses, your physical senses, what you see, taste, touch, hear, and smell. And then know that even though you are more present in the physical, that we are not disconnected with the divine. And this was an exercise in bringing the divine to us. And that is always a sacred journey. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey with you. And so I send you, the keepers send you also, from our heart to yours, much love.